And this bounce cycle is basically it's a cycle that most people actually, most businesses, most companies, small businesses, medium-sized, large company organisations, and also individual personal people. This is a cycle that most people go through. Let me take you through the first part of the cycle. And it's called this, the crisis moments. Be real about the problem. When I was in hospital, when I was in a place of denial. How she was going to adapt to this change. And I remember I'm lying there in my hospital bed. And out of the corner of my ear, I remember hearing my little girl right down the end of the hospital hallway. She was laughing and she was singing like she always does. And I remember I sat up in my bed and my eyes started to well up, not knowing how she was going to react, not knowing how she was going to accept Daddy for what had happened. And I remember very clearly, she's running in to see Daddy for the first time. And I was staring at the door, just waiting for her to come in. And then I saw these two tiny little hands. She grabbed hold of the door like this, and she peered in, and our eyes just met. And she ran into the hospital room. Tears were running down my face. And she jumped up on the bed. And she goes, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, did you have a car accident?" And I said, "Yes, I had a car accident." And she goes, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, did you lose your arm in the accident?" And I said, "Yes, I lost my arm." And she goes, "And Daddy, Daddy, the doctors, they couldn't find it anywhere?" She literally thought they just had to find my arm and sticky tape it. Sticky tape fixes everything, Daddy. You know, sometimes we need to accept ourselves before we can get acceptance from other people. You know what the number one issue for teenagers right now in the world is? The number one issue for teenagers right now in the world is this: image. Number one issue for teenagers right now is image. It's all about trying to feel accepted by other people. You know, that's actually how we get real about the problem. It's just to accept who we are. This is me. I'm proud of who I am. Yes, I live with a disability, but this is who I am. Be real about your crisis. Be real about the problem. And then you can tackle it first on. The next point of the bounce cycle is this: the downturn, the decision-making time. We've all experienced a downturn. Now, recently I was reading about different animals and different animal groups. You know how they have names like a group of bees is called a swarm, a group of cattle is called a herd, a group of lions is called a pride, yes. A group of crows is called a murder. A murder of crows. A group of jellyfish. Anyone know what a group of jellyfish is called? A schmack. A smack of jellyfish. A group of flamingos. A group of flamingos is called flamboyance. A group of buzzards. You guys are like this. A group of buzzards is actually called a committee. But my favourite out of all the different group of animals is actually a group of rhinos. Now get this. Rhinos can run over 45 kilometres an hour, but they can only see 9 metres in front of them. So do you know what a group of rhinos is called? A crash. I love that. And for those of you people that think you can predict what happens in 5-10 years' time, I'd call you a liar. The future is there to be created. So run your race. No matter how many crashes, no matter how much adversity, no matter how many problems, no matter how many issues, no matter how many financial problems that we might have, we need to pick ourselves up and continue to move forward, no matter what. That's how we get through the downturn. That's how we get through those hard times, is picking ourselves up and continuing to move forward no matter what. The next part of the bounce cycle is actually this, is the bounce step, or what I like to call rock bottom, hitting rock bottom, huh? You know, one of my bounce principles, you can write this down if you like, one of my bounce principles is holding hands in traffic. One of my bounce principles is holding hands in traffic. What do I mean by that? You know when we're young kids, yeah? When we're young kids and we're about to cross a big intersection, lots and lots of cars, we need to hold hands to get through that. You know, it's exactly the same in our lives right now. That when we actually have a problem, when we have a crisis, when we have an issue, we need to hold hands. We need to stick together. That's how we're going to get through. So too often we try and tackle things by ourselves, individually. Yeah, I can do it. But sometimes the problem is so big, it's so harsh that no, we need to stick together. Barack Obama just recently said in one of his US speeches, he actually said, look, we need to work together to get through this financial crisis. He doesn't think that he can do it by himself, that America, no, we need to stick together. We need to hold hands in traffic, stick together and move through that together. Whenever you have a crisis, or whenever you have a problem, or whenever you have an issue, whether personal or also business, collaborate, communicate, stick together and go through that together. Holding hands in traffic. That's how you get through that bounce step. Next point of the bounce cycle is actually this, is the opportunities. You know, when I was in hospital, the doctor said to me initially, Sam, you'll never be able to walk ever again. And I remember there was another guy that was another bloke that was in hospital. And this man, he actually lost his leg in a motorbike accident. And he wasn't taking it too well. Actually, to be quite honest, he tried to commit suicide. He tried to kill himself because he had so many problems. And so they tried counselling, they tried everything trying to support this man, but nothing worked. But then they could see that I was taking my accident very well. So they asked me to go down and connect with this man. Go down and talk to this man. So here I am, I'm in my little electronic scooter wheelchair, and I was scootering down to this guy in the different part of the hospital. His name is Mal. And he had one of those type of wheelchairs, And here I am, connecting with him. But get this, all he wanted was someone to connect with, was a relationship. You know, sometimes in order to actually find those opportunities, we need those relationships in our world. We need those people around us in our world to actually help us get through. You know, recently I was reading about this 9-year-old boy. And this 9-year-old boy was packing up everything he'd ever owned, leaving everything he'd ever had, and then moving to a different place. But you need to realise one thing about this 9-year-old kid, his dad had died 3 days beforehand. And he defined himself through his dad. And now all of a sudden he's packing up everything he'd ever owned, leaving everything he'd ever known and moving to a different place. You know what his name was? Nelson Mandela. You know what Nelson Mandela says in his recent biography? It's called Long Walk to Freedom. Has anyone read that? Has anyone read Long Walk to Freedom, A couple of people? This is what Nelson Mandela says. He says this: forgetting the things of the past and pressing forward to what lies ahead. I love that. Because how often do we hold on to the past? We hold on to the failures. We hold on to the insecurities. You know, if we can let go of that, if we can let go of the past. I was speaking to a 45-year-old lady the other day. She hadn't spoken to her sister in 15 years. I said, why not? She said, we had a fight. I said, what was the fight about? She said, I don't remember. How often can we, how can we move forward? How can we know exactly where we're going in our businesses, in our lives, if we're still holding on to the past? That's actually how we'll do it. If we can let go of the past and move forward, that's how we'll see the opportunities. The last point of the bounce cycle, this is one of the last points I've got here, is the point of bouncing forward. One of my bounce principles is actually this. You can write this down. Leveraging positivity that fuels success. I'll say that again. Leveraging positivity that fuels success. Do you know 45% of workers right now are currently unhappy in their current jobs? Depression rates today are at an all-time high. Depression rates today are 10 times greater than what they were in the 1930s Great Depression. Actually, get this, the mean onset age of depression 35 years ago was 29 years old. Today, it is 14 years old. Here's some stats here for you. What's happened with my slide? Can we go to the next one? My slide, yes. Optimistic salespeople outsell their pessimistic colleagues by 56%. Happy students show 3 times more creativity than their unhappy counterparts. Here's another one here. Positive doctors perform better diagnoses than their neutral counterparts. There was a recent study where they got a whole heap of doctors together, and what they actually did with these doctors, they divided them into 3 groups. They gave them one activity to do, one diagnosis case, okay? They divided these doctors into 3 groups. One group of doctors they primed to be happy. The other group of doctors they gave all this academics and everything like that too. And the other group of doctors they said go into this program absolutely neutral. Did you know in every single case the doctors that were primed to be positive outperformed their peers by up to 50%. 50% better results, 50% better productivity, 50% better product profitability as well. Here's one of the last ones here, and if you can actually see here, wait there, let me go back. There we go. Oh, come on. Shouldn't have touched it. Anyway, the last one there was actually nuns. Get this. Happy nuns outlive unhappy nuns. And what do I mean by that? Get this, happy nuns, what they actually did, they done this survey over many years, and they actually found that at age 85, out of all these groups of nuns that they actually did research on, at age 85, 90% of the happy nuns were still alive. At age 85, 70% of the unhappy nuns had actually passed away, had died. That goes to show that when we hear things like happiness actually boosts our health, happiness makes us live longer, it's true. It's now backed up by science. It's now backed up by research. Fascinating studies. You know, the bottom line is, I'm just going to really quickly have a look at this for a sec. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah, okay, no problem. Staff told that they are more appreciated by their bosses increase their productivity by up to 30%. Positive workers have greater levels of productivity, produce higher sales, perform better in leadership. They're also less likely to take sick days, become depressed, or even quit. If we are not priming ourselves and our employees in a positive way, we are handicapping them in regards to their performance and their productivity levels by up to 50%. Fascinating research. You know, just before I finish, the doctors, they did say to me, they said, Sam, you will never be able to walk ever again. You'll be in a wheelchair for the rest